Welcome to Eternity Spiritual AI. We are a decision intelligence company that deals with the spiritual forces that change our DNA, our behavior, and ultimately the events that manifest because of that. We are all about the unknown, the hidden, the future, and we deal with three elements, which is we deliver accuracy, predictability, and have these energies align with you all the time. And this case study is all about the promotion of a vice president of a large bank. A little bit about ourselves first. We have a decision intelligence model, and then we use different forecasting methods. We operate in certain areas like mergers and acquisitions, people dynamics, family dynamics, relationship dynamics, simulation of the future, and ultimately all about the crisis planning and legacy, and we operate across certain industries. Our work is entirely subjective. For example, you might look at two magnets as objective bodies, but we do not look at the magnets as objective bodies at all. Rather, we look at the subjective forces that contribute to the cause and effect. This is the physics of intention, which means whatever you can intend or have a motivation for, it has an energy signature, and we can find that out from the time continuum. How we operate when it comes to forecasting is that we look at the intent of three pieces. That is, the intent of clarity, the alignment of it, and then ultimately the causality of it, which is the results. So let's take a look at the case study. Rachel is a vice president and she has been there for 2 years. Rachel approached us because she badly wanted a promotion or a raise. Now we did ask how her relationship with her managers are, and she said they're pretty stellar. Rachel was frustrated. She connected with us and she was not getting the best that she had in the company. Well, we thought something was really wrong, and this is something that happens with clients all the time. They may sometimes lie, most of them do, and then finally, they sometimes hide the inner motivation. This is where we have to use a different model which can find out the truth, which is the core emotional understanding of a human being. Once we do that, we can now simulate the entire life of a human being from birth to the present moment and then build patterns out of it. Once we have done that, we ensure that we use the causality model and correlation model to find out the predictability of situations, events, and emotions in the future. What we did is we used this model on Rachel to find out what's going on inside of her. We realized that there were many things that she was not talking about. At Spiritual AI, although what we present is elegant and graceful, there's a ton of work that is going behind the scenes, which is analyzing, understanding patterns, and forecasting. It is very hard for us to present this information without an archetypal view, which means this is the archetypal view. This is the energy archetypes that are flowing through Rachel when she was born. This is the energy signature. We found out from here that Rachel is an exceptional innovative person but needs huge freedom to operate and takes responsibility of her team. Well, she is a great manager. So does she deserve a promotion? Yeah. Now we observe something interesting, and that is there seems to be a big shakeup that is coming to her, or perhaps the groups or company that she works for, that is a very large bank. We saw something very interesting. Then finally, we did see a kind of an expansion from money, from team, and all that. From here, we can discern that this might be something called a promotion. These are all energy signatures. But we kept all this to ourselves, and then we asked her a huge question for which she was shocked. We said, who is challenging you at your office right now in your career? This is where she actually started to open up and say that she did have a nemesis at work. This is our work, which is all about understanding causality. Once we understand the person, the emotions, the intent, the events, the situations, we can now work towards what is called the correlation. But the last piece is the most important piece, which is synchronicity. This is where we do not know anything about, and we have to wait for the synchronicity to happen, because this is only done through consciousness, an awareness that pervades everything. Now, here is the real story. Rachel was actually inducted to the bank through the executive vice president, Elizabeth. But what Elizabeth did is put Rachel under a senior vice president called Marie. Now, what we also gathered is Marie was not very innovative at all, contributed nothing to the job, and more than that, she basically stole things from Rachel and used that as a pillar to wordsmith the whole thing to get some accolade from her managers and the CEO. Naturally, Marie and Rachel never looked eye to eye. Rachel had had enough. So we advised Rachel to work towards one model, which is the authentic self. We explained that the authentic self is about having authentic power over yourself. You have to be 100% honest to it. If you're not, the universe creates events for you to experience yourself. Let's talk about the authentic self. Authentic self is something that nobody knows what it is, but they feel that they need it. Every leader wants to live with authentic leadership, but the moment you ask them what is an authentic self, they have no idea. And this is for everybody. There's a lot written, but here's the answer of what an authentic self is. It is the soul made visible, working with the universal energies based on time. Now, most people in the business world, they're going to think, soul and business? Come on, wearing an Armani at office doesn't change who you are. It's just a coat of our personality. Inside of us, we have a soul, which is the authentic self. Long story short, the universe is simply saying, I need you to be who you are, and I'm giving you these energies. You decide how you want to play with me. And this is how you become your authentic self. We did tell Rachel that there are 3 key elements that she needs to portray at work. She needs to stand tall. She needs to innovate and express herself fully. She has to do that for her feelings, not her mind. And then finally, if she doesn't do it, she's constantly going to feel the pain of self-victimization. Well, what happened next? We started modeling Rachel's emotions versus time. Now, this is where, after our discussion from April 1st, this is how the story flows. Elizabeth was fired. This is the executive VP she used to map to. And there was a big change in the organization. The CEO announced that there's going to be a lot of transformation and a lot of changes in hierarchy. Something happened with Marie April 17th, where she started bad-mouthing Rachel openly, including a hostile team takeover. Now, this was happening blatantly. Rachel approached us. She was debating, should I call her out? We said, absolutely. We forced her, rather. We said, this is our opportunity to be authentic. So what happened after that? Well, we did say that there's a correlation of events that are supposed to happen. That is, if you can set up a meeting with the CEO on April 17th or 18th, there seems to be a big shakeup coming on April 19th. So we mapped her emotions against the time continuum, and we saw an exact correlation of those emotions, and we said, you have to meet with the CEO. Once we can see this correlation, Rachel felt something change inside of her. She felt that for the first time, she had the courage to stand up for herself. During this conversation with the CEO, she actually broke down on the call because she could not bear the depth of the emotions and the pain that was caused by not being recognized at work. This is how the next level of the story flows. Immediately, Dave got into action when he heard Marie was just being poisonous. Called her, and the next day, she was fired. Now, there was something that people did not know, and this is where synchronicity comes into the picture along with causality, because the CEO actually was looking to replace Marie, but nobody knew that. And Rachel's event became the starter for a huge transformation that the CEO was looking for. Did Rachel get promoted? Yes, she did. She got promoted with a bigger responsibility and with multiple teams reporting to her. So let's talk about the entire sequence of events to understand decision intelligence and forecasting. Imagine this to be the timeline. This is the sequence of all events happening for Rachel and the entire company. Now, when we speak about causality, we truly mean it, which means you can now see the causality over here. We understand this causality really well. Then we use the correlation model of people, emotions, and events to understand the most important thing that we can do nothing but wait for it, which is called synchronicity. Depending upon the synchronicity of these events, we can use our will and our initiative to actually change the events of the future. This is how we forecast decisions, and we are part of the game of the universal consciousness. If you look at our work, we work towards the future. Then finally, we focus on the hidden, which is a synchronicity. But when we started interacting with Rachel on April 1st, everything was unknown. This is the depth of our work. As a spiritual consciousness consulting firm, we are unique. We can do what others can't. We look at the causality, the correlation, and finally, the synchronicity to build models to uncover the hidden, the unknown, and the future. Thank you for watching.